everyone and welcome back to another build breakdown episode powered by Sparesbox. If you are just tuning into this series now, we have already covered previous videos, the 2JZ engine setup, the suspension and lock kit, as well as everything that keeps this car running cool. You will find the links to these at the end of this episode as well as in the comment section below with some Sparesbox discount codes. Today we will be introducing part 4, the Driveline system. This is where we'll be covering everything from the gearbox to the rear of the vehicle, basically all of the components to the car that keep these wheels spinning. As we have already covered the engine breakdown previously, let's jump straight into the next major items that make this S15 a reliable package. Now there are so many great clutch systems on the market, each with their pros and cons. In my particular build, I am running the 7.25 Tilton twin plate race clutch and flywheel. Now this system is a small and effective setup that has been tested and proven in many applications. Over the years, I have run many different clutch systems, however, I've always been drawn back to the Tilton system for a few key reasons. Primarily, when building this car, I was trying to keep costs down where possible. So purchasing a new system wasn't really viable or necessary as I already had a good system sitting here in the shed, ready with heaps of spares from when the car was last running in 2017. The main reason I keep coming back to the Tilton system is that it's a strong and compact style clutch that's readily available with easily accessible parts. A great feature of the system and one of my favourite features is that you can replace individual parts quite easily and each part is reasonably cost effective. For example, a set of these Tilton clutch plates set you back around $500 to $600. Then it's another $600 for the pressure plate components. Without the flywheel, you can have new parts for this for around $1,200, whereas most twin or even triple plate clutches with the flywheel setup set you back anywhere around $3 to $3.5 grand for a really good system. Other reasons why I like using this system is that it is a surprisingly smooth clutch considering its small size. It also has a great friction point range and it isn't heavy on the foot like some race clutches can be. The only issue I have found with a smaller clutch system like this is that it requires more maintenance and inspection of the adjustable release bearing system. But that's to be expected and at the end of the day it is a race car. On to the next component and one of my most favourite aspects of the car is the Jericho Performance H-Pattern 4-speed gearbox, also known as the dog box. You know the one that goes weep, beep, beep. You guys know what I'm talking about. This type of gearbox has been used in racing applications since the early 80s, commonly used in cars such as NASCAR and other track applications. I love these gearboxes because they are super strong, they are tried and tested with readily available spares and they are easy to pull apart and reassemble. To better understand the name dog box, in this system gear engagement is facilitated by numerous large teeth, hence the dogs, that meet and lock together into an opposing drive gear. Unlike conventional street cars where there is no synchronizing mechanism to smoothly assist in equalizing gear speed. Hence why these race gearboxes are so damn good and loud. One of the best features of these race gearboxes is that you can literally throw the car into any gear at any speed as fast as you want. You need to be aggressive with gear shifting and if you're not, then you can potentially cause damage to the dog rings. They are proven to handle up to around 1,000 horsepower and can withstand a good amount of abuse without failure. If you do have any major failures, you can pull it down pretty quickly and replace most of the internals quite easily. However, I do recommend leaving this to the professionals such as Gearbox Masters here in Sydney who specialise in H-patterns, sequential gearboxes and everything gearbox related. There are so many gearboxes on the market and it's pretty easy to find something to suit the needs of your car. Next we have the shifter system in the gearbox, which is very different to most traditional gearboxes you will see. It has an external side mounted shifter that is manufactured by a company called Long Shifters. As you can see, it connects here to the left side of the gearbox with 3 linkages, one controlling the first and second gear, one controlling the third and fourth gear, and the final linkage controlling the reverse gear. You will find that most traditional gearboxes and sequentials have this system built in. However, as these are a side shifting gearbox, all shifting components are external to the gearbox casing. Connecting the gearbox to the rear of the differential, we find the driveshaft, also referred to as the tail shaft. This is a custom one-piece driveshaft system that was built by Driveline services here in Sydney. It is a 3.5-inch steel tube design with two 13-15mm universal joints that are capable of handling anywhere up to 1,000 horsepower. At the front of the tube, we have a billet yoke that slides into the rear of the gearbox. and at the other end, the universal joint connects to the differential flange, making it a strong component of the car. It's important to have a strong, well-built drive shaft as it is handling a lot of your shock and driving force from the engine and the gearbox system. I also highly recommend installing a tail shaft loop, which will protect your transmission tunnel from being damaged if your drive shaft does fail for any reason. Next up, another really exciting component in the S15 that I really loved installing is a Siki Winters Quick Change 10-inch differential. Now, quick change differentials are very common in speedway and race applications, and over the years, these parts have been implemented into drifting not only for their strong design, but more importantly because you can change gear ratios in under 10 minutes. They offer a very reliable and proven system which has now become a standard installation component that many people around the world are using in their professional drift cars. As much as installing a system like this can become quite costly, you will find that this kind of upgrade eventually pays itself off with reliability. These aftermarket diffs can be purchased with two options, either a spool or LSD center. A spool differential is one that is constantly locked, also known as a locker differential, whereas the LSD option offers you a smoother drive system which functions or locks under load. Now for drifting, we always want the rear wheels to be locked and spinning at the same time. I personally have found that LSD differentials have the tendency to wear or fail, so using a spool differential such as my one is the most reliable option for drifting. Another really cool feature of this differential is that you can change gears anywhere, anytime. And considering I only have a 4-speed gearbox, changing gear ratios is very beneficial in getting the car set up correctly for different tracks. There are so many gear options that you can carry for a Winters diff, and commonly they come standard with a 411 gear set installed on the rear. I also carry a further 2 different gear sets, and each gear set allows you to use 2 separate ratios by simply changing the orientation from the top to the bottom, which gives me plenty of options depending on what track I'm driving on or what track I'm driving at. For example, if I'm driving at a track such as QR or Eastern Creek, I would use a gear ratio such as a 3.9 or a 4.11. Or at tracks such as Rayleigh and other smaller tracks, I would chuck in a ratio such as a 4.6 or a 4.9. So you are using primarily 3rd and 4th gear whilst you're on the track. Now to change these gear ratios, all you have to do is simply jack up the back of the vehicle, undo 6 bolts on the rear cover plate, drain the oil and swap the gears, then fill it back up with gear oil. This generally takes one person under 10 minutes to complete and is much easier than trying to change a differential. The next item in the driveline system of the S15 is the axles. Now these are still one aspect of the driveline that I'm looking to upgrade in the near future for reliability purposes. For now, I'm currently running a pair of standard 6-bolt Nissan R33 GTR axles with billet adapters that connect the axles to the diff. I have been running these axles in many different cars for the last 10 years or so, and they have proven to be quite strong and reliable. They can generally handle anything around the 800 horsepower mark, however anything over that I have found that they can begin to fail, especially considering how low I now run the new S15 build. At present, the S15 is sitting a little over the 800 horsepower mark. However, with the correct maintenance, they are proving to be quite a reliable component for an OEM part. Years ago, these axles were generally a cheap option to buy. However, as GTR parts have dramatically gone up in price, they have become more difficult to find and aren't as cost effective. So the next step for the S15 would be upgrading to the Driveshaft or Driveshaft shop axles, which also have been proven to be super reliable. The final and arguably the most important component of the driveline system is the lubrication or oil that keeps everything running smoothly and reliable. In the S15 we run 2 different types of gear oil. In the gearbox we run the 7590 Smooth Shift Full Synthetic Performance Oil, and the differential we run the Newlon Full Synthetic 8140 Heavy Duty Differential and LSD Oil. Now I'm sure many of you can relate when I say how painful and slow it can be when changing your driveline oil. Most people have to use a small pump bottle like this one here, which generally takes anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes to fully fill a gearbox or differential. Newlon have released a game-changing product in the Easy Squeeze soft pouch, which can generally fill my gearbox in around 30 seconds, as well as a full dry fill on my diff in under 2 minutes. How bloody good. Well guys, that's it for this episode on the Driveline. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the build breakdown featuring my S15, brought to you by Sparesbox and Scott Mitchell Media. If you would like to purchase anything from the Sparesbox website, including Newlon oils, pop in Matty Hill 5 at the checkout and you'll receive a 5% off. Sparesbox are also offering a huge 25% off Davy Craig cooling system components with the code COOL25. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, share and comment below with any questions or feedback, and I'll see you back here in a few weeks to explore the Nexus Haltech ECU and all its features. See you guys soon.